Let me tell you.
Welcome to
back.
the 75th Masters.
Oh, I used to live in Augusta, Georgia, so you already know. Like, that's,
You know.
That traffic in April was terrible. But hey, guys, welcome back to Shut Up and Listen, Bellingham. This is not Augusta, Georgia. This is Bellingham, Washington. And we're here to talk music and all things music and support the community and make sure we give people spotlights as well as help us figure out what's going on. Help us tell you guys and tell the next person. It's like a game of telephone, but with correct information. 'Cause you know when it gets to the end of the line, it's always bad. But today, we've got myself, CHRVNS,
Morgan.
Brent.
here with you. It's Shut Up and Listen. And we have somebody that I became a super big fan of. And I know I say this a lot, but no, like genuinely watching the growth and the transformation and actually listen to every single thing ever dropped. Swear.
Thank you.
Make some noise. For
Harbor Day.
how you doing?
Doing all right. Better than I deserve.
God, that's a great answer.
Sunshine, we
answer.
smiling, baby.
Just trying my best. But yeah, doing good. Sun shining. Like, it was a beautiful drive out here. Like, didn't realize how many little water features there were. And I was listening to the new, Alice Phoebe Lou record. Can't remember the name of it. Just dropped like in the last week or so. But just very like kind of low and slow, kind of 70s psych inspired, like just like road tripping music. Like
Send that to me.
heartfelt.
Send that to
Yeah,
me, like,
I will.
Right after this,
I will.
I need to check that out.
That was such a beautiful drive out here.
It is.
Yeah.
The first time I drove out here, I was like, is this right? This is too pretty.
It's the funniest thing because we're like 6 miles. Go 25 miles out. It's
It's 6
gorgeous.
miles, but that detour make it feel like 40. But you know what I'm
It
saying?
does. That is true.
coming from my part, no detour. Yeah.
We get it, Brent. You're cool.
Right? Obviously.
Well, let's get right into it. You got to really keep these two on track.
For real, though, that's
For the people who do not know, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get to where you are? How did Harbor Day become what it is right now?
The whole story. Well, all started when I was born. No. Well, let's see. Songwriting wise, it was back in I'll just say when I was 13 because I can't remember when I was 13 at this point. I'm 25. It's not that long ago.
It seems so long when you got to do
It
math.
seems so long ago when you live in it. But there was the first time I got an instrument, but not really proper lessons along with it. You know, I got the one or two like guitar lessons when I got a guitar for like Christmas. And spent most of my time just futzing around on it, just like coming up with ideas. And flash forward to like undergrad in 2016, and I was realizing like there are a lot of people around here who are like recording their own stuff. I didn't realize that this is a possibility. So I cracked open like Audacity or something.
Yo, that's the first thing I ever used. Yeah.
And I was just like playing like folk songs essentially, and just so much of it was just songwriting initially. And then got to 2018 or so, and I had been hanging out with Riley from Hockey Teeth, bassist for Hockey Teeth and main producer for Ice Cream Cult and everything. Super good producer, my goodness. And he just keeps growing every day. But we were talking a whole lot, and he was saying like, "Oh, I use this software called Ableton," and I was like, "Okay, it'd be cool to hop into something that gives me more possibilities to like record different layers, something that like has like a click track that I can work with because I am like tempo impaired for sure, and that's why I need like a click or a live band to help me out." But yeah, and from then on, it was just meeting with folks and learning more and more about the craft as I went along. You know, it definitely started out as like folk music that I was embellishing in some way. And then after that, I was realizing the possibilities of like, I can do more beat style production because the environment that I grew up in as a producer was more focused on like hip hop beats and everything and like electronic production.
And is that up here?
Yeah, just here in Bellingham, Washington. I mean, I came from, I moved all around the U.S. when I was younger, and then like lived in Southern Washington when I was in like middle school and high school, essentially. And then, yeah, I've just been in Bellingham ever since through like undergrad and up. But yeah, it's been fun being part of a community that's making do, if that makes sense, where none of us that I had encountered had the big budget to get into a studio all the time. The people who had studio access were like folks who would like look out for like for when you had a big band, like, oh my gosh, you can get into Champion. Let's see if we can get some sessions going.
I still haven't been to Champion.
You still haven't been to Champion?
I have not been to Champion.
What, really?
No, I have never been
when
there.
it opened.
I bet you were. You Mr. Cool. No, I love you, Brent. No, the only one, like the big studio that I've been in, I thought it was a big studio. Sam from Foxy brought me to the Fairhaven campus one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I went there one time. I was like, yo, this is crazy. But we did have, it was like during like pandemic time. So we're wearing a mask and it was like very, I'm going through the mic locker like, yo, they, what?
Their booth is like a closet too. It's like you pass through it to get into there and you're like, was that where we record? Okay.
Yeah.
But no, it's a funny spot. But yeah, no, I knew so many people who were just doing bedroom production and I was like,
to the T.
Like, ain't no shame for sure. And coming from like, I guess the background in music was that I had was everything on my sister's iPod, which was like a bunch of like 2000s emo, 2010s like indie rock, like jazz, kind of all over the place. What was that? Sorry.
Hawthorne Heights.
Hawthorne Heights. There's definitely a track.
It's the Ohio is for lovers. That's the only track.
Oh,
that was for me. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's definitely that like part of my development where it's just like a wash of songs, and like I would just like listen to them like all the way through that iPod of like 150 tracks, barely looking down at the names of any of them, just like kind of taking it in and
I
just
still listen to music that way, unfortunately.
It's really nice to kind of be almost attached in that way because it gives you this sense of wonder every time you like find it again. So
Find it again, or I'm just listening. But then he'll ask me, he's like, "Oh, like what's that song?" I was like, oh, "That's a great question." I've listened to the song 30 times. What is the name?
I'm the opposite. I mean, yes, I definitely get that because I remember having the iPod shuffle and you just have it clipped on you and you just listen to all the songs. But now I'm the biggest and most annoying nerd when it comes to it. Like I hear a song, I'm like, who produced this? Who did this? Who did that? And I dissect it, and I get more appreciation because really good songs. The first time you hear it is the first time you're like, wow. But like, there's always that third or fourth time you hear something you didn't hear the first time.
Yep.
Yeah. And like all the details that you get from seeing who is on like the production list and everything, it just gets you more inspired to look into more people. I feel like it gets you ready to internally network with your taste, which is like something that we've never had the luxury to do with like just CDs and everything like that back in the day. I do
miss CDs though.
But yeah, I do miss physical media in a lot of ways. I've been going back to tapes a lot because it's so cheap and also it's just like a fun recording medium as well. So
That's true. Shout out Black Noise. That's where I get all my tapes from.
gosh, I love that little wall. I found like a School of Rock tape that I've been meaning to like mess around with. Like
We'll be right back after these messages.
This episode is brought to you by Black Noise Records, located downtown off Bay Street. They pay top prices for records in Bellingham and the greater Bellingham area. Cash and store credit. Go get 10% off your next record purchase when you tell the cashier you've listened to Shut Up and Listen podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Binary Recording Studios, located where? Right here in Whatcom County. Binary has been in business for 1, 2, 3, I don't even know how long, but they are offering the best and the best and the best of the best video and audio production. So if you're a band and you're looking to record an album, or if you have any other audio recording needs, Binary Recording Studio is going to be where you need to go. My boy Bob, he will set you up. He will make sure that you are set up for what? Success. He will make sure that you are good to go. And welcome back.
So
That made me happy.
How are you recording now? Are you still do you do it more at home? Do you have a studio to go to? Is it a mixture of all? What's your process now throughout all that?
Right now I've got like a dedicated space at my apartment complex where there's like an offshoot shed that I've called Garden Shed Studios, whatever. But I was bringing some folks in there for a while. My friend Lark came in. Like the Birds is their project online, and he made like a really cool like double single with me, and then just been like having some other people come in during a spell where I was really feeling like I was producing a lot in an echo chamber, where during the pandemic I was just like, it was me in kind of this musician house over on Moore Street, and we were all like kind of tossing ideas at each other, and I was working a lot on this record, Ursa Major at the time, which turned into like essentially like an unemployment project because it was originally going to be like 14 tracks spread out over like these EPs. And then I had this crazy idea. What if it was like, it's called Ursa Major, and all of the EPs that go into it are like all the different stars in the constellation, and each of those EPs has 3 songs, and it rounded out to like 27 tracks total, double album, as my second record. And there's some stuff that I love going back to on that, and I really appreciate, but that was definitely at a time where I was treating it more as like an audio journal project rather than like something that would be looked at as much as it ended up being as a result of social media and like namely TikTok. So
okay, now let's dig in. So what, like when you're working on something, what makes it the difference? Like what is that switch versus like making an audio journal versus making it presentable? Because I know the exact feeling, but like, I just want to pick your brain about it.
I think it's something I'm trying to grapple with right now, because I have developed a greater understanding of what people like out of my music as a result of me making giant records like that. And when I was just letting everything out and letting whatever production style that came to mind become apparent, so on and so forth, it just felt very freeing to toss around ideas in that way. But there were some that I knew were digestible in some way, where there's something about, there's this one song that I always go back to, Good Morning, which is like a really classic, like 50s style, like doo-wop thing.
Yeah.
And my grandma like loved doo-wop music and like showed me a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And I was like it was kind of written for a partner at the time, and it was like written for some like self-doubts and everything, but it just kind of felt classic once I had finished it. And I was like, there's something about this. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I had like a coming out song that I put on the record as well, very on the nose, called Call Me By Your Name. There you go. Yeah. But that one, I was like, this feels poppy. This feels like, this feels energetic in a way where I could be in a room alone with it and feel something. And that was something I had kind of pursued ever since I had been working with Hockey Teeth and getting more like live show experience. Because up until that point, I was like, oh yeah, I just kind of make beats, write my own stuff. And if I ever show it to people, it's like at an underground coffee house sort of thing, or just like bringing it to folks in like an open mic night setting. But playing on a stage where people are responding, that is like an eye-opening experience. It feels like, it feels like a different stage of life when it happens.
You ever seen the movie Soul?
Yes.
Disney movie? You know, when they finally like kind of float and they're just in the, what is it called? Just the zone?
It's not the spark or something? Or
the spark. It's something of that nature. Like they homie just like goes to a different dimension, basically in the mind, and just like is just in the flow of things.
Yeah.
Every time. And that's my favorite thing about being on stage, is because it's just, you let everything go, nothing else exists, and you're able to just really just get things out. and then share this with people. And then also, it's crazy how much their energy will have, like, really either boost it or, hey, I'm gonna be honest, either boost it or you're like, oh, hey, hold on, no, we gotta fix this. And I don't know, it's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Yeah, it's such a good feeling when you can finally like re-articulate what made you write a song in the first place. It's because it's tough. It's a lot of translation that you have to do. If it's been a while since you've played a song, or like it's been a while since you've felt that emotion, but then like bringing it back up, you know, it can either feel like it's simple once you have the right crowd, or it can feel like ipecac, right? It can feel like you're really trying to force it, and like, you know.
I also like the part where you wrote a song for a reason and it had a meaning, and then when you have that crowd or you have that experience, that they gave you a new meaning to what that song is.
Too, yeah.
Like, just makes it come back.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge thing. I feel like I've always said to folks after taking like one like art analysis class in undergrad, you know, and just being all haughty and stuff like that. Like once your music, once your art is in the hands of the public, the people, exactly, it's not yours anymore. It's up to interpretation. So
It's scary sometimes.
yeah.
Like, Brent, anytime you put something out, how did you feel?
I haven't released shit. I mean, with What's Up I did,
That's
but
what
not
I'm saying,
my own
yeah.
music.
But
Oh,
that's
whatever.
still your
I
art,
was
though.
like, I just did a paper and then whatever. It was out. I didn't
that's
care.
why
I had to
that's
move
why I
on
don't
to the
read it
next
back.
thing. Yeah, I don't read it. When What's Up, the issue was done. It was a job, and it's the next one. I'm got to start
That's
getting ready for it.
crazy to think
But
about.
that was 15 years in where I'm just like
that's-
doing these.
it's
I mean,
second
there was an
nature.
element at some point within the first decade, I guess, where I think back to it. But most of the time, it was just whatever. Cool, we did it. Time to go. Time to
And
get
you know
on to the
what?
next one.
There's nothing wrong with that, because that's just how it goes.
I know, because that's what I did.
I'm letting the people know. Say it with your chest, baby. Let's go. I love it. He said, "Yeah, y'all got meaning this shit. Hey, I just be running it." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, there is an element too, and you understand as an artist
Yeah.
where you like go, okay, cool, that's done. What's next?
The song that you make in 20
my
minutes.
gosh.
And you know, and you have to. That was the thing. I never had to perform it live. I never had to, sit and I think about like Death Cab playing songs that they've been playing for 25 years, or 20
that one
years,
hit.
and having to have that same kind of fire and
you
that
gotta
kind of
keep going.
energy, going for it. And a professional knows how to get that energy and keep going. In. I never had to worry about that. I was just. Cool, we're done.
Brent's the chillest guy. No, I love this guy, man. I love this guy.
But I want to ask, when you were talking about starting to understand what people liked within your music, it's almost like you as an artist, you cross a threshold where it stops being yours. Yeah. Where even in your creative process, you have that little piece in your head that knows if you are writing something that, this is actually totally something cool is gonna happen off of that. And it's hard to, I would assume, to not keep going back to the well with it. And in your writing, then how do you shut off that idea of what people are going to like and just focus on what you hear in your head? Or do you? I mean, is that just kind of a cognizant thing for you, where you're like, it's in the air while you're writing?
Yeah. If something's good, I have to make it fight.
Okay.
If I know that something's going to like bring people in some way, I've got to make sure it like says something with its chest, like you were saying earlier.
Execution.
And like that's what happened with Looks, which is like my top song now. Which thank you so much, because I had the chorus, and like I knew that it was like this really poppy, like very universal, like he looks like float. I was like, how could I reinterpret this in a way where it's always gonna mean something to me, and I'm always gonna want to like run with it.
Very
so
important.
I like took it from the perspective of like like vistas and like all these parts of my childhood of like being able to look at all these wonderful views of nature as I've gone on road trips with my family, and how capitalism and various different like societal structures are ruining the opportunity for people to have that in the future.
Sure.
So that was my fight. So
Okay.
I walked away from social media for the rest of that like process, as I was just like, my like social media presence ended up being like very repetitive at that time, where I was basically just making the same exact video, posting it to TikTok. And then when I was finishing up the writing of it, I was like, every single thing about this needs to feel like I deserve how good this chorus feels for people.
Damn, that's phenomenal.
Very,
Very, really, really great approach to it, and one of the best answers I've heard in talking to local musicians, and I've talked to
Thank you.
hundreds of them. That was a phenomenal answer.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
you.
For sure.
Wow. Yeah. And I feel like that was a very similar approach for the rest of the record, I guess, to segue forward into
What's
Ivy
next?
League.
Right.
What's next?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ivy League, the record that Looks is on, came out on, what was that, November 18th, I think, this last year. And there was going to be a re-release of it, but I'm postponing it a little bit just to clean up some of the songs that were going to be like entrances into that, and still trying to figure out how like raw I want it to feel. Because I want it to feel like a retelling of a story in an album, rather than like a deluxe version of an album. Because
Yeah.
it's very
Like
easy
that.
for me to just
Yeah,
like
for sure.
tack on other tracks and everything. But I think that there was and is like more potential for these songs to like bridge into each other and like do like have longevity in that way.
Right.
Because of like this very tragically recent realization of what you were saying earlier, like the act of like bringing music to audiences, reinterpreting the meaning for you and everything. Like, because my only experience of that was with Hockey Teeth and songs that I had like contributed to, and then suddenly like starting to play shows with the tracks off of Ivy League was the first time that I had felt like my heart was like sticking to songs.
Right.
And it was like I had to like choke songs out. Like it was like
Right.
really difficult to have some shows where I was like going to Calla and Gabe, drummer and bassist respectively, or other way around actually. They're from the band The Hobby. Go check out The Hobby.
A hobby's fire too.
Love them.
They're so good. But there were some times where I had to say like, I can't play this track like on this show because it's just too raw.
Sure.
And it's been a journey of like figuring out how to use the emotions that I feel to have more of a conversation with the audience versus like shouting at them, you know?
Are you planning on touring at any point? Because I know that
I'd love
when you
to.
talk about having conversations with the audience, it's easier to have a conversation with your friends in Bellingham, whereas if you're playing, Sacramento and nobody gives a shit, then it's, and this is coming from years of talking to bands and friends who've gone it, that adds a whole next level of development, personally, creatively, artistically,
Yeah.
for musicians. I guess what I'm saying is you should now go tour, because
Yeah.
like
Go.
now, like when you leave the studio, go start looking up
Go
touring.
book it.
Because
Send those emails.
it is such a vital. Such a vital. I think a vital part of the development of an artist, and you are already so far more developed than so many other artists that I could see going out on tour and then just having the world open up to you, basically.
It would be beautiful. There's a lot of logistics to it, but especially being like
Full send.
unsigned and everything.
It's easier than you think.
I mean,
Yeah.
probably easier.
Yeah.
Unsigned.
Less
Yeah.
limitations at that point. You just gotta play it right.
Yeah.
True. But that's yeah.
It's
I
also
definitely
when you're
wanted to
making
tour.
music that is so personal, like because the way people write and what music is it is that journal. It is what you're going through, but it makes it hard. Like once people start like actively listening to your music, it changes that narrative that it has to be a story that you want to repeat. Because you make that one super sad song that you felt in that moment. Now you're playing that 10 years down the line, and it's like that one hit somewhere at one point.
Yeah.
So it's being comfortable with telling people the story that you're wanting to repeatedly. And I guess that I feel like that changes
Yeah.
throughout.
Everything. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing.
How willing are you to
dynamic, yeah.
repeat that? Yeah,
Yeah,
that
for
feeling.
sure.
Yeah. And it just has to go back to the honor of creating the song in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't have to be like with how things change, a sense of like regret. It could be like just leaving the memory as it was,
Or a new understanding of it.
or a new understanding of it, honestly. So,
Speaking of new understanding and new beginnings and new events.
exactly. It's me.
We've talked about where you've been. We've talked about how
Was that
you
your
got
segue?
to it. It was. It was a segue.
Let it get out now. Let it get out. That was a perfect segue, right?
I'll take
Put
it
on the
here.
punctuation eyes for a second there. You're like,
Where is this
No.
happening? Okay.
So we talked about how you've gotten to where you are. We know there's that release. We got to keep the looks out. What's coming up for you? What is your next big thing?
well, on Friday for me right now, but on the 14th of July for whenever this comes out, we're playing Northwest Tune-Up, which is the new.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the new
Yeah.
festival that's in town that was started like last summer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
very very new. The folks from the Crocodile and
Yeah,
some
it's
other
Hunter
venues were,
and
like,
yeah.
Yep.
Hunter and Zach.
He's also
Yeah.
doing Bellingham Exit in October.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes.
I haven't heard about that one
Yes,
yet. So
we're
It's on the
taking a
works.
lot of effort to not tell anybody right now, but
Wow.
it will actually
says
be
on
out.
the
Yeah,
not being
I'm
taken
part
out.
of I'm part of Bellingham Exit. So Hunter is doing this, and then and his awesome crew there, and then Bellingham Exits in second weekend of October.
wow, that's amazing.
And that's gonna be
timing
like
for
a mini
Bellingham.
tree fort, which totally has nothing to do with what you were just talking about. But
Oh, yeah,
it is
no
still
worries,
Hunter.
no. That's super exciting. Though.
Yeah.
like that's. I feel like fall is the prime time for Bellingham. Just
It
because
is.
October,
Kids are
people go
back.
crazy.
all the folks are
School's
coming.
in town or back in session.
Halloween month.
Yeah.
Halloween is
essentially.
crazy with shows.
all.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we've got Tune Up, and that was actually like.
Did you have to reach out? Did they reach out to you? How did you?
It was a little bit of both
Little bit of
because
both?
they reached out to me last summer, right as I was playing lawn stock with Hockey Teeth, and they were saying like, "Hey, could Harbor Day play like Tune Up like the very first one?" And I was like, "I'm gonna be out of town in like Nashville, seeing some of my family out in Tennessee and stuff like that.
Tennessee? You're from Tennessee?
I'm not from Tennessee. My family moved out to Tennessee,
Okay.
and also I use like they them pronouns primarily. So absolutely no worries, gotcha. But they're like, okay. Well, I asked them if we could like pocket it and do it next summer, and they're like, yeah, sure. We'll see what we can do. And then I just put a reminder in my calendar, and then reached back
Smart.
out in March.
Follow up emails are
Exactly.
key.
And reached back out in March, and I was like, hey, we're available. We've got a live band. Like, we can do this. And they're just like, yeah, sure. We'll just like plug in, does the 14th work? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, oh, by the way, Starfucker is headlining the night that you're playing. And I was like, instantly flashing back to a memory. I just called my friend Alex about this. About me and my roommates at that Moore Street house, like just futzing around. I was on the drums. I don't play drums really. I like playing like Ronald Gregory Erickson the second. I was like, oh my life, there you go. And I was like, we're playing with them.
Just
Yeah.
moments, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Which is like really exciting. And I'm like, it feels like a very important moment. And that's why I kind of took off the throttle on some other stuff, like production wise recently. And I was like, we need to make sure that this show is good.
Valid.
And we're making sure that there's like some friends coming out to film stuff for it. And also just like, we're going to take a second to celebrate and just say like, we've come this far because we also get day passes. So we're actually going to see Starfucker for free.
We'll make sure we're there for you too, though. That's the.
I will be there, yeah.
No, I'm excited. Thank y'all so much. And
Of course.
yeah.
Thank you for being here. This was phenomenal.
Yeah, this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really great.
Wherever you are right now, if you're in the car, you at your house, you at work, make some noise one time. Yeah.
So we do want to thank this whole experience, being able to sit down with you, and looking forward to being, because we're going to tune up. We'll make sure we're there to see you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think I'm.
and then all the upcoming episodes that we have. And, this is the reminder to subscribe to us on every platform that you listen to us on and all the social medias. It's going to be in any bio you look at, but it's a variation of shut up and listen.
But also tap in and send us suggestions. Send us people you want to hear us talk to. Send us the shows that are coming up so we can actually spread the word as well. Let's make sure that everybody gets a voice.
Tell us who your favorite artist is in town.
But other than that, I know we're telling you to tell us stuff, but also guess what?
Shut up and listen.